trust your musical intuition above anything else. Hey everybody, it's Madeleine. Welcome back to another video to celebrate the release of my newest single, No Second Chances, which is finally out. Oh my god, that was a long old process getting that song done. I hope you're enjoying it. It was such a labor of love. I worked on it every single day for over 2 months, and I hope you can see how much love and care and attention went into that song. If you have listened to it, let me know what you think. It would be great to get your guys' feedback. So to celebrate the release of that song, I'm going to be doing a video delving into my songwriting process, which I can't believe I haven't actually done yet, because literally all I do with my time and my days is, mostly my nights, not really my days. I sleep a lot in the day. I'm such a night owl. My nights. So it's really strange that I haven't done a video on my songwriting process yet. And I'm also going to be sharing some tips and tricks that I've learned along the way to help with writer's block, artistic block, and to just sort of generally get the juices flowing. For me, songs always start with the lyrics. I rarely start a song with like a drum pattern or chords. I know a lot of people find it really helpful to write to like beats and stuff where the music's already there and then the lyrics can flow. Totally valid, just not the way I do it. I will always start with what I call a free writing session, where I literally just get my notebook, a pen, and whatever I'm feeling in the moment, I will just free write. Or if I've got a person that I want to write about, or an event that's happened, it doesn't have to be full sentences. I put no pressure on myself to structure anything into verses or choruses. It literally doesn't even have to make sense. It's just like word vomit onto the page. I'll do that for a few minutes, and I'll normally fill up about 2 to 3 pages in my notebook, and after that something will normally jump out at me. The message of the song will normally be in there somewhere. It's just a really good exercise as well to sort of get the juices flowing without putting any pressure on yourself for it to be like a fully fledged song like right from the get-go, because that would be like way too much pressure. I don't think I'd be able to cope with like trying to write the song, from beginning to end. First of all, that would be way too much. Once I've got the story and I've got all of these like jumbled up lyrics, as I said, something will normally like jump out at me, like a word or a phrase or something, and I think, oh yeah, that's like the crux of the song. Normally it's kind of built around that. For example, my song But What If You Just Loved Yourself, that was like a phrase that I wrote down. I was like writing about this particular person, fictional person, that was really annoying me. I was just sort of like, oh, but you wouldn't be this nasty if you actually just loved yourself. And that kind of, it just sort of jumped out like that, and then I knew that would be the crux of the song. I knew that would be the chorus. Often then, once I've got this whole free writing session, I can kind of sort of start building the verse, pre-chorus, bridge, chorus type structure. Again, I put no pressure on myself to stick to this. It's just like helpful to have a rough structure then. Then what I'll do is I'll sit down on my piano and just have a play with some chords and some melodies. I'll normally sort of hum a bit of a melody or a bit of a chorus hook as I go along and try and build some chords around it. But again, it's like not putting pressure on yourself for it to be perfect or for it to work. If something just isn't working, don't force it. You don't have to sit there for hours and hours trying to make this song work if it doesn't. If something organically and naturally evolves, wonderful. I'll normally sort of figure out the chord progression and I'll have like a rough structure just literally with vocals and piano. I will open up my DAW, which is Logic. I love using Logic because I think it's the most user-friendly out of all of the DAWs that I've tried. I haven't actually tried all of them, but I just find it really simple to use, and it might look really scary to begin with, but once you sort of get going on it and you learn all the like keyboard hacks and the shortcuts and where everything is, it does like really make sense as a DAW, and I think it's just like nice to look at as well. It's the more friendly of all of the DAWs, which stands for Digital Audio Workstation. Then what I'll do is I will hit record on my microphone, hit record on my MIDI keyboard, and just play and sing at the same time and do a bit of a demo recording of the song, just so I've got like a rough structure in front of me. Once I've got that demo, I will just start building around it, and I'll think, you know, what other instruments might work, where do the drums come in, where do I think some extra instruments might be added, and it will kind of just evolve from there. I find it really, really useful to work in a DAW, to almost songwrite in Logic Pro. I'm such a visual learner that I really like things sort of structurally laid out, and I sort of use the markers to be like, okay, intro, verse, chorus. That really, really helps me to sort of stay organized. I wouldn't say that I am the best at production. It's nice when I've got everything like really, really clearly laid out. From then, it will kind of be just making like MIDI mock-ups of all of the different instruments, and then I'm in such a privileged position where I'm able to then send those MIDI mock-ups to real instrumentalists, and they will record their part and send it back to me, and so that's what you actually hear on the record. Most of my songs, I actually can't think of an example right now where it's not a real instrument. All of my songs have real instruments on. It's just personally like the sonic world that I want to live in is all with real instruments. That organic sound is my style and really, really compliments me. I totally get that not everyone is in a position to be able to do that. So if you would like the sound of real instruments but you can't access session musicians, websites like Splice are excellent for getting samples of real instruments, and you can build your song with that and it will still sound lovely and organic. That is generally the process for most of my songs. It's kind of just really like methodical and straightforward. The thing that it comes back to is that it always starts with that free writing session. The idea of like playing around with ideas and not putting pressure on yourself is where like the best songs, in my opinion, come from. So there's loads of techniques that you can do to help with that sort of freedom of expression. Some people really like to do collaging to help build ideas for songs. You know, you get a magazine, get a blank piece of paper, some scissors and some glue, and oh my god, is that a helicopter outside? It's like 1 in the morning. Sorry if you can hear that. Do some collaging and just cut out bits and words, images, colours from magazines that really inspire you. Vomit that all on a paper and glue it down, and then ideas will flow from that. You know, you might pick out individual words from that magazine that then form into a song. Another great trick that I've been using at the moment is when you're waiting for something, like you're waiting for the bus, waiting for the train, you're waiting for your mum to come and pick you up, is instead of just sitting on your phone and scrolling on TikTok like we all do, because we all love a doom scroll. Instead of doom scrolling, get your notes app up on your phone, or if you don't have your phone with you, excellent, because then you're not doom scrolling, like just a little notepad or something like that, and just describe what you're seeing. If there's somebody walking past you, describe what they're wearing, how they're walking, describe, can you see any animals, can you see any trees and nature, or what do the buildings look like, what do you think the people in those buildings are doing, cars on the road. Just sort of describe your surroundings and then describe how you feel in that situation. Again, just free write and word vomit into your notes app, and then you'll kind of build up a bit of a lyric bank, which is really, really good to delve into sometimes if you're really in the mood to write a song but you kind of don't know what to write about. If you've got like a huge lyric bank, you can fish some out and there'll be something of worth in there. Another good songwriting technique, and I know I literally just said that all my songs come from a free write, is actually to just switch up your songwriting style and set yourself challenges. My New Year's resolution for this year was to release an original song every month of 2025, which I have succeeded at so far. It has been tough, like it's definitely been a challenge, but I'm really, really glad that I have done that. And part of the practice that I have done this year that's really helped me, and sort of I really want to prepare myself in the future, because I'd love the opportunity to write for, you know, bigger artists and other artists. So I've kind of been practicing that, and so sometimes I'll set myself songwriting challenges to write for a specific artist. I'll sort of sit down and think, right, what if I was given the chance to write a song for Coldplay or write a song for Dua Lipa, and just sort of see how that evolves, because it kind of takes you out of yourself a bit. And then sometimes you might find that those songs that you're writing you actually really like and you want to release yourself. Which brings me on to my next single that I'm going to be releasing. which is called You Can Talk to Me. That was born out of a session where I thought, what if I got the opportunity to write a song for Coldplay? So what I did was I listened to most of Coldplay's discography, not all of it, it's hours worth of music. I mean, I was pretty familiar with it anyway, but I sort of sat down, had my headphones on, listening to their signature styles, signature lyricism and structures and stuff like that, and had my notebook again and just was writing down what I was hearing. Do they have short intros? Do they have long intros? What's their instrumentation like? What tends to be the subject matter of their songs? What are the key defining features? How do they build up to a chorus? That analysis can be really helpful. You can think sort of, how can I implement that into my own writing? Which is what I did, for my next song that I've got coming out. And I never ever would have written this style of song if I hadn't sort of taken myself out of my normal practices. One thing that I've noticed about a lot of Coldplay songs is this sort of like euphoric feeling that they seem to be able to produce so well, and is, a reason why they are one of the biggest bands in the world and why they're so successful, because they can make you feel so euphoric. That's like something I really wanted to tackle in this. I have been using a couple of production techniques that I haven't yet used in my songs. I think I've released like 10 songs so far. No Second Chance is the most recent one. This one I sort of created a piano arpeggio, really simple, but then put some delay on it and some reverb on it to give it this sort of like twinkling effect, which when that song comes out you will know what I mean. And I never ever would have thought to do that if I hadn't done that songwriting exercise. And so many other things in that song as well. Pretend that you're writing for other artists is really good, and pretend that you're writing for artists whose sound you love as well and you kind of really want to emulate. It's also really important to take yourself away from songwriting sometimes and observe other art forms and other pieces of inspiration that aren't to do with music. For me, I love a Pinterest scroll, and sometimes if I want to sort of create the sonic world of a song, I will actually have a scroll on Pinterest and make a whole Pinterest board about what I want the song to feel like. And I did that with No Second Chances actually. I knew that I wanted that vibe to be like big sort of Carrie Underwood revenge, bad bitch energy. I made a whole Pinterest board. I'll insert some of the photos here that were on that board, and that can really help to sort of get the vibe going of a song. It can really help inform what key you want the song to be in, what kind of chords, like is it major or minor, general feel of it. Images are such a good form of inspiration. One exercise that I sometimes do, which might sound a bit poncy, but it does work and it does help, is making a piece of music inspired by one particular image. It doesn't have to be a song, it can literally just be like sounds. A bit of a soundscape, I think, is a better description of it, to a picture. Like, does the picture have like sharp edges here? You could have a chord going like stabbing. Does it show like a smooth wave or something? You could have, glissando to represent that, and kind of building up just like a sonic bank can really help. And sometimes you could be writing a song and think, oh, this bit from another project that I did actually works really well in this one. And sometimes songs can become a little bit of a mishmash puzzle technique, as I like to call it, is also a really useful songwriting technique. I hardly ever will write a song from beginning to end. It kind of is a bit of a puzzle of like, oh, I think that would make a really good chorus, oh, that would make a really good introduction, oh, that would make a really good end section, and kind of piece it all together like that. Not putting pressure on yourself to write a song from beginning to end, because that could be so overwhelming. And then we get to the dreaded moment where we're writing a song and something is just not working with it, and you don't know what it is and you can't figure it out. You like the song, you like the lyrics, but just something is not working out. We have all been there, and the reason why I wanted to talk about No Second Chances a lot is because I had that issue with this song. This song originally started as a country song, which when you listen to the lyrics you might be able to figure that out, but it started as a bit of a sort of like brushes on the drums country vibe. It was like way faster and a bit sort of like hoedowny. I loved the vibe, I loved the music I'd created for that, but for the lyrics and the storytelling, it just didn't gel. I think the music that I created for that original version, I think I'll try and use for something else. I think ultimately I decided that the story I was wanting to tell just didn't work with that music. And so essentially what I did is I like pressed the reset button on that song. I took the lyrics away, I took the melody away, I took the chords away, and I thought I need to make something different with this. This isn't working. And actually what I did was I went on my Spotify and I went on the most sacred album of all time, Back to Black, Amy Winehouse, and I clicked on Back to Black, the song Back to Black. That's really hard to say really fast. I went on the radio, I went on like the Spotify radio, and I listened to that whole playlist inspired by Back to Black. How many times can I say Back to Black? Take a shot every single time I say Back to Black. Now you're going to be real drunk. I listened to that whole playlist and there were some like incredible songs on there, you know, Adele came up, like Skyfall came up, Ray, and just real like girl power dramatic songs. And I was like, yeah, because the lyrics are so dramatic for that, it needs a dramatic instrumentation. And I was like, I'm just doing the wrong thing here, trying to make it like fun and country. It needs to be drama. And I think I resisted that because so many of my songs are like slow and dramatic, and I was like, oh no, but I need to have something up tempo because I don't want people to like listen to my discography and get really sad. But I think that's just where I shine as a songwriter, writing those like slower dramatic songs. I have realised now not to fight against that. If that's my strength, that's my strength. I'm going to definitely have another go though. But anyway, yeah, so I completely redid all of the instrumentation for that, and the version of No Second Chances that you hear on streaming platforms, oh my god, I reckon that's like version number 15 or something ridiculous like that. You know, that song took a long time to evolve. The crux of songwriting for me, and where I kind of want to wrap up this video, is what my bestie Helena and I like to call fermentation. We let songs ferment. Songs need time to evolve. I can't explain it in any like concrete terms. It is all a bit woo-woo. When you write a song, sometimes you need to let it sit like for a week or so. I can feel it in the back of my head. I'm not actively thinking about it. I'm not actively thinking, oh, you know, what do I need to do with this song? It just is fermenting in my head and maturing. It needs that time. There are a couple of songs that I released earlier this year that I really wish I'd let ferment for longer. Good Little Girl is one of those that feels a little bit rushed to me now. It's a great lesson to learn, and I'm still learning, and everyone is still learning, and we should all constantly be learning. I'm sure even like the greatest songwriters of all time are still learning their craft. Biggest thing that I want you to take away from this is that songwriting is not a natural God-given talent, right? It's a skill like any other skill that you need to work on. You need to be dedicating a lot of time to perfecting it. Taylor Swift didn't just wake up and write her Reputation album. It took all of those years beforehand to really hone her skills. If anyone's watching this and you think like, God, you know, I'm really struggling, my songs are just not good. First of all, I'm sure that's all a lie. Second of all, just keep practicing, keep going with some of those techniques. Please have a go at the free writing. Like, that is literally the best habit to get into. Also, things like journaling are really good. It just sort of like gets the cogs flowing a little bit, and if you get into the habit of sort of doing a little bit of writing every day or every other day, or at least like once a week, it can really help get the cogs turning. Having dedicated so much time this year to songwriting, I do feel like I am improving. I didn't anticipate that at all. I did at the beginning of this year kind of think that, you know, I really love writing songs. I'm not sure if I'm that good at it, but I'll just start releasing and see what happens. No, I have actually improved, and I look back at some of my songs from earlier this year and think I have actually come on from that. Please, 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 for anyone watching, please keep going with your songwriting. Your stories, your music deserves to come out, and there are going to be people that are going to be so grateful for your music. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any other techniques, or you want me to like go a bit more in detail about any other songs or techniques, do let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Love you.